Hello, everybody. This is Maria Marcano, the Burnout Repair Coach. And as always, we're going to be talking about all things burnout so you can actually reverse the mental, physical, and emotional damage that burnout, especially career burnout, can create in your life. We're going to do this so you can actually experience vitality, mental focus, energy, and that you can succeed without breaking your body or your relationships in the process. Today, we're going to talk about something that most people get mixed up. And I remember I used to do it myself. And most of my clients come to me with this kind of confusion. And I believe it's something that we have been taught by society. And through the years, it's becoming more and more confusing. And it's the difference between rest and entertainment. See, this is so important because one of the areas of your life that need to improve is resting. But oftentimes when I ask my clients what they did to rest, their answer is something that is actual entertainment, and they have no idea that that is true. In my case, many years ago when I burned out, I remember that I felt that idea, you probably heard it, that work hard, play harder, was how I was supposed to take care of myself. What that meant is that during the week, you're working super hard, and then when you had a time off, then you would want to have fun. And you thought that that was the solution to life. At least I did. I sure bought that, and I did it for so long until, well, I burned out. I had no way to know the difference because everyone around me did the same. And that was quite the motto in the industry where I work. Work hard, play harder. And I think that this is really common in certain levels when we are in leadership positions within our careers, because we give so much to our careers. We're always on that we need to kind of like let steam off and just decompress. But the problem is when we confuse entertainment with rest, and then we don't rest. We just keep entertaining ourselves. So I decided to look up the actual definition for entertainment so we can get real clear about this. So entertainment is a form of activity that holds the attention and the interest of an audience or gives them pleasure and delight. This can be an idea, it can be a task that one does, but for the most part, it's actually one of those situations, activities where you go to be entertained. So what they do or where you go, the purpose of this activity is to hold your attention and to keep you entertained, whether it's for delight, for joy, for laughs, or whatever else, excitement, whatever else might be. So how do we entertain ourselves? Well, it depends on what you like. Some people like the theater, some people like the movies, some people like sporting events, some people like going out in nature, some people actually love the the arts and then go to galleries. I mean, there's so many ways that we entertain ourselves. We might just stay home and watch movies from home. But the idea is that we are looking for something outside of us to provide us some, like it was saying in the description, some delight, some joy, some sense of emotion that is positive to us. But it's always coming from the outside, and it typically involves that you do something. You go somewhere or participate in this activity somehow, even if it's just as an spectator. So many of us fall in that trap that I did, which was I just entertained myself, and I thought that was life, that was how it's supposed to be. I worked so hard. I thought I deserved this much play, let's put it that way. And the other thing that my clients do, and this is not necessarily entertainment, but I do want to bring it up, is that even in the tiny little pockets where they could be resting by being present, they distract themselves. So let me explain what I mean by pockets where you could be present. There is this problem in our society that we value multitasking, and we think that multitasking is good. And you know what's interesting? When I was doing my training on mindful breathing, which is one of the techniques that I teach my clients, we did this in Washington, D.C. And being in D.C., within this training, there was some mental health counselors and then other people that work with the government. And one of these individuals said that her husband, who worked in the Pentagon and it had to do with the Defense Department, super stressful, right? Super important. Yeah, you have to be on top of things. I can't imagine, the pressure on a work like that. She said that he would always say that no one in his department multitask because multitasking is actually inefficient and it's a lie. And I 100% agree. Back then it was like, whoa, how about that? That's interesting. Now I'm like, absolutely. So there's times where we're not working, where we're doing things outside work, but perhaps at the workspace, that we could be very present. And what that would do for us, for our nervous system, is it will give us only one focal point. It will rest all of these, stimulate, like we're always stimulated by so many things. And then you would only be doing one thing, and that one thing alone creates calm. For example, eating. When you're eating, you had no business looking at your phone. You had no business checking your social media or your emails. That's what I mean by distraction. If you eat and you consciously sit there and just eat, do what you're doing, only that one thing, that it's not work related, that's why I picked up eating, then you could actually be resting. So distraction is a thing that prevents someone from giving full attention to something else. Now we have those definitions clear. We have entertainment and we have distraction. And so most people entertain themselves and they think they're resting. Like I said, I did it. And some of my clients, when I talk to them and it's been the weekend and we had the conversation about, how was your weekend? What did you do? I often get it's okay. That's one of the, I really want to delete that expression from everyone's habitual language. It's okay. What does that mean? So when you start digging on what does it mean it's okay, it's basically we probably do repetitive things we've always done, and then we find our entertaining. So how do you entertain when you should be resting? You watch TV, a lot of it, hours of it. This is not resting. How do you know it's not resting? I'll tell you in a little bit, but I want you to understand that watching TV is not resting. Playing video games. I know most women don't, but I actually know women that do. But then, adult gentlemen will spend hours playing video games. How about social media? We get lost hours of the day just on watching social media feeds, watching videos, scrolling from one app to the other. This is not resting. Listening to podcasts. I actually enjoy learning very much, and I always want to be learning. But listening to somebody and learning something new, taking information, it's not resting. watching sports. This goes across, actually, we're filming this the day after the Super Bowl. There's a lot of people watching the game yesterday, and I can guarantee you they do not feel fresh, refreshed, vital, and rejuvenated today because a lot goes on with the watching of the sports. But even if you're not eating and drinking the Super Bowl type of things, you are again engaged emotionally in something because most of us, we have our teams and that's where we watch these games. Also, social gatherings. And this is interesting because I'm not saying that you shouldn't have this things in your life. I'm just saying that you have to be clear that that is not resting and that no other thing other than resting can give you rest. So sometimes we plan for the weekend to be with our friends, or maybe our kids have a play day and we had to drive them somewhere, or we have a family gathering, or we get together with friends for dinner. And those are enjoyable things, but they are not resting. I feel that by now you kind of getting the idea of what I'm trying to say. Shopping is another one. So if you go on a shopping spree, it might make you feel good, but you are typically, I remember, I used to love shopping, and on the weekends I used to kind of give myself the treat and buy something new. And I remember how tired I'd be after being in the outlet mall for hours because, the walking and the energy of being around so many people and then having to make decisions about what is it at the end you are gonna end up getting, it gives you it keeps you on. It keeps your brain on. It keeps your body on. And so you'll get fatigue. None of these things are resting. And believe me, none of them are relaxing. Even if you think that watching a movie is relaxing, it is not. And here is how you know that it's not. Because to rest, to consider something resting, your brain cannot be taking information. It shouldn't be stimulated by input. You should not be processing images, information, or complex sounds, or things that are like giving you an impression. So that's why we're actually removing the watching TV, the movies, the playing the video games, the social media. Because even though your body is not fully engaged, your brain is. You're taking information, you're receiving input. The other thing is your emotions are not being excited. So that's kind of the example that I give about the sporting game, right? You're like so excited, you're jumping, you're screaming. Again, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not resting. So your emotions are definitely engaged. And I'm one to watch movies and get so emotional, I start crying, I laugh hysterically. You think that I'm inside that screen. So my emotions are being engaged in that process. I'm not resting. The other one seems more obvious, which is your physical body is not engaging in too much motion. Doesn't mean that to rest you have to be like not moving whatsoever. There's resting activities where you will move, but you're moving in gentle waves and you're not moving a lot. You're moving just a little bit. So let's think about it. What is rest then, Maria? Okay, you told us all these things that are not resting, right? Entertainment is not resting, and distractions are not resting, and all of these things that I thought were resting are not. Well, rest is to cease work or movement in order to relax, refresh, and recover strength. This is so important in order to relax, or refresh, or recover strength. That is to rest. It's actually something that you do in order to renew. Think about as if you were a battery and you need to recharge. So if you're going to recharge the battery, you cannot be running it in order to be doing other things. It's just the moment that you recharge the battery, that's all that's happening. You are recharging the battery. You're not using it for something else. So maybe that's a better example that gives you a little bit of an understanding. In these moments, you're not stimulated mentally, physically, and you're not very engaged emotionally. So what would be resting and how do you know the difference? So if you're confused Welcome. It happens because we are not having these conversations. This is why we burn out. Welcome to, oh my God, my entire life I thought I was relaxing. I'm not. So I want you to look at the things that you consider are resting for you, that you do when someone tells you relax, that you do when you think about, okay, I really need to relax right now. And now run these parameters, these things that I'm going to tell you against it. First one, muscle relaxation, meaning your physical state. When you're doing what you're doing, do you feel tense or agitated or heavy, or does it actually require like motion and movement? If it does, especially if there's a lot of motion and movement and if there is agitation or tension, you're not resting. I don't care how amazing the movie is, you're not resting. If you are not experiencing an emotional sense of peace, meaning that if your mind is active, solving problems, trying to decipher things, taking information, instead of being completely at peace and present in the very moment that you are, then you're not resting. Obviously, minimal movement is one of the signs that you're resting. And the other one, it's kind of like, I believe people think it's an urban legend. It's called mental silence. Mental silence exists and you can develop it. And that means that your mind is not running like crazy and going into the future and the past back and forward like a little crazy monkey in your head. It's just simply quiet, even if it's just for a few minutes. That's a sign of resting. The other one is that when you're resting, you don't have this sense of accomplishment, of finishing something, or you don't feel rushed. There's no sense of time per se, so it feels really relaxing, right? There's no sense of there's an end game, something that I need to accomplish. You don't feel rushed, and time sort of like loses its importance. That's how you know you're resting. Resting is very passive and receptive. Typically, you're not giving, you are receiving. So this means that you're open, you're listening thoroughly, you're very, again, I keep using the word present. You're very present. You're not in a giving mode. So let's go to the examples, right? What things can I be doing to rest? Well, number one, sleep. It hits all of the qualities. Sleeping, taking naps, falls into sleeping, but maybe short periods of time. Also, it's considered resting. Meditation is a form of resting. And actually, 30 minutes of meditation, if you get to the point where you're a good meditator, is equal to sleeping for several hours. The rest that you give to your body, your nervous system, and your mind, it's deeper than actual sleep. Therapies like massage therapy or acupuncture or taking a gentle, very gentle yoga class is considered resting. And by gentle, I mean something that is called restorative yoga. So look for something called restorative yoga in your local studio. Listening to soothing music, nothing that's really exciting. Maybe it can be meditative music, or you can look into binaural sounds. Contemplation, this is just sitting, doing nothing, looking out the window or being outside enjoying the view. Breathing deeply is a form of resting. There's certain ways of breathing that are very restful. Taking a bath, a bubble bath, something that feels luxurious and pleasurable, but you're not really engaged in anything but enjoying your bath. And I'm going to leave you with the last thing that I want you to kind of memorize. It's an Italian phrase, and it's dolce far niente. Dolce far niente is the pleasure of doing nothing. We all need to become experts at dolce far niente. Without that, you're not going to be able to recover from burnout. So be well, and remember, burnout is not necessary. You can be happy, successful without breaking your body or your relationships in the process. Thank you.